Kakarot.
Autobots, roll out. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another mega review. This time it is for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. We literally both just got out of this film.
I was not planning on seeing this movie today. Like 24 hours ago, I was just, me and somebody who I work with wanted to go see a movie, and it was this or Spider-Verse at 3:30, and I said, you know what? I'm feeling something new today. I'm feeling something that I haven't seen before, and I added to my letterbox and I've seen it. Transformers looked fun, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's see Transformers.
Yeah, and so I had a couple friends today reach out to me. They were big Transformers fans. I was big Transformers fans. I mean, I planned on seeing it regardless, so I could review for you guys. But and I was just lucky to have Andrew on here to that ended up seeing it as well, so he could come on here and review it with me, and we were able to do a review for this movie for you guys, like literally on opening night. So this will be uploaded very soon. But yeah, I went into this film with low expectations. I'm coming to this from as a big Transformers is a big part of my childhood. I grew up with Transformers. I watched the original series. I watched the movie that scarred me for life when I was a kid. If you know, you know, for those who've seen it. And then I've also I grew up with a lot, and then I grew up with the Michael Bay film, even like the very first Michael Bay film. So, and some of the video games and all that stuff. So I'm a big Transformers guy. I've always loved Optimus Prime. Bumblebee has been my favorite. These movies have been very hit or miss. I enjoyed the first Michael Bay film. I didn't really like any others. I thought Dark of the Moon was okay, which is the third one. But it wasn't that great. But then you get to Bumblebee, which I thought was actually really good. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is nice. This is different. Then Bumblebee's, like I said, he's my favorite. I was like, this is different. This is like interesting and unique. And then people were seeing the trailers for this, and this looked a lot like a standard Michael Bay kind of Transformers film again. And so people, I think we're going in with that kind of lowered expectations, but you had like Peter Cullen coming back as Optimus Prime again, and that amazing voice he does as Optimus Prime. And it's just, and so I went into this with some hesitation, but I knew the director was good. It was the director of Creed 2. And so I came into here, and I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. This film is decent. It's fun. It's like your popcorn kind of movie. It has a lot of issues. We're going to get into them. It has a ton of issues. But overall, still a fun time, an enjoyable time. If you're just looking for like a fun, like matinee, just to let your brain go, then, this could be that kind of thing.
That's what I wanted out of this movie. Me being somebody that hasn't really seen Transformers, like, when I saw the trailers for this, I'm like, okay, looks good. Like, if I had to miss a movie this summer, it would be this one. I could watch it on streaming. But I said, you know what? If I'm given the opportunity, I would see this. Nothing else playing. Yeah, I would go see this, and it actually was a movie that I did not regret seeing in theaters. Will I be going to see it multiple times? No. No, like this time was enough. Like if it's on streaming or Netflix, I may pop it on, but I don't regret seeing it. It just was a standard fun time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it was, cliched. It was predictable, but it was a fun time. And the action itself was really good. I thought the action was great. I definitely want to travel. It would be far, but I want to travel to like rewatch this in 40X because that would be such a fun experience. Like, the action here was like really top notch. The effects for the most part were good, but there was a few scenes, especially towards the end, when a certain character puts on a suit his face looked like it was floating. It did not look good. And then there's another scene where another human character gets picked up by a transformer, and the transformer looks good, but he looks like a completely digitized human inside of a transformer hand. So there was a few things there that didn't say, because say what you will about the Michael Bay films, those effects were always great. But so the effects were kind of hit or miss here, but overall they were mostly solid. And the voice acting was really good here for all the characters. Unicron sounded menacing.
Of course.
Yeah. What were you saying, Andrew?
I was saying Optimus Prime, of course.
Oh yeah, Optimus Prime made the film for me. I thought he was excellent. I wish Bumblebee would have had more to do. Once we get into like our mild spoiler section, we'll tell you why. But I wish he would have had more to do. But
I was bothered what they did with Bumblebee. Like
yeah.
In the start of the movies, they do something that I'm like they should have waited to do this.
Yeah.
They should not have use this character in this way in like their first movie after a solo movie.
Yeah, they kind of did him dirty, and he's such a respected character. Like, if you would have done it to any of the other side Transformers, I don't think people would have cared as much. But they did it to like such a respected Transformer that it was like people are like, myself included, are not going to like what they did here. But
I agree. I have not even seen Transformers a lot, and I know who Bumblebee is. Bumblebee and Optimus Prime are the two biggie. I know who you are, and I know who you are.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the big. They're the two biggest things. And then towards the end, I was like, are they going to do something like that with Optimus? I was getting worried there for a second, but they didn't. But yeah, I thought all that was good. The sound design was really well done. Because it was like the sounds of the Transformers and everything. It was really interesting. I will say this. As a Transformers fan, I want a Transformers movie that involves no humans. It worked well in Bumblebee because that was trying to be like an Iron Giant kind of situation. You know, it was trying to be that like human Transformer connecting. But like the Transformers show and movies that I grew up with, the cartoon movie, had no humans. It was just Transformers and building up the lore of the Transformers and all that stuff without any human drama involved. When Anthony Ramos, who gave a good performance, not gonna lie, but whenever he popped up on screen the very first time, and they spend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes with this character, and you're just seeing him do his thing, I literally said out loud, "Get back to the fucking robots." I was like kind of getting bored. I was like, I want the robots. Like, give me that.
I was the opposite. In the beginning, when I heard the dawn of time, there was a key.
But no, that part I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about whenever
there was that, and as soon as that part came on, I'm like, I'm a little bit bored already. You know, I'm a little bit bored already. And then once I started meeting the characters, I started going, okay, I'm kind of getting attached to these characters now. And then when the Autobots came in, I'm like, ooh, okay, you know, now I actually care about the people who are fighting with the Autobots. Like, you're a massive Transformers fan, so of course you want a Transformers movie with only Transformers. But your average Joe wants, I feel, that grounded character.
But I mean, you can still do grounded with no humans. Like, hell, that movie is dark as hell. If y'all don't know, I'll just say, because it's an older movie now. It was like in the 80s. The film that I grew up with, the cartoon film, they murder Ratchet, they murdered Optimus Prime, they murder all these other dark like characters that you love, and you're sitting there scarred for your life. You're like, oh my god, what are you doing to them? And you're like freaking out as a kid watching
that in this movie.
and it's just like and that is one of those things that like it was very dark, very gritty, very grounded. The original TV show was that way. The new Netflix show is that way. Like you can get dark and grounded and gritty without humans involved.
I'm not talking about dark and gritty. There's people out there that need that human character to relate to, because the robots, there's people that get the robots mixed up, oh, is that Optimus Prime? No, that's Bumblebee, but the human characters are a lot of time, like, if you're not a huge avid Transformers fan, like I'm not a huge avid Transformers fan, I say those characters kind of go around the movie a little bit. They make the movie, they're kind of like the fish out of water, where that's kind of how a lot of people feel, and those are that's the character that people connect to in these movies.
Yeah. I just wish that like that's what I liked about Bumblebee is the dialogue for the most part felt grounded and real. Like the issue is
I've not seen Bumblebee.
See, Bumblebee is a good example of how to do a human character right, because that was an emotional, heartwarming story. The issue is with like films like these and films like the Michael Bay Transformers, they introduce human characters to just kind of be like let me crack jokes and let me do this and that and be that kind of character. And I'm like, we already have Transformers that are cracking jokes and doing all that. Like, you don't need to have a human character do that a bunch as well too. It's just, I feel like that's kind of overkill. Have the human character there to provide some like stuff for fans for people who don't know Transformers. Like, you can have them be there to like explain certain things. You can have them there to be like to do a mission for them, to do whatever. But like having them crack jokes and being like and all this stuff over and over. I'm like, we already had like Mirage in this film, who's the comic relief. I didn't need another human to be the comic relief when I had Mirage. So
I agree. I could feel that in Mirage. I'm just happy there weren't any one-wheeled robots making sex jokes in this movie.
Yeah.
Like in the original Transformers.
And I will say this: I never laughed once at a human joke, but I will say I laughed definitely a few times at some jokes that came from Transformers. So like Mirage or Bumblebee, like I laughed at some jokes there.
Oh, Mirage was very funny. He was like my favorite Transformer in the movie. He was my favorite.
I think he was played by Michelle Yeoh, which is Michelle Yeoh is in the movie. She played the bird. I mean, but it was played by Pete Davidson was Mirage. So that was kind of interesting. And he did good, and all the others were good. And the Maximals looked really cool and interesting. In the original lore, though, they don't mix. I understand why they did it for like newcomers. They don't mix the whole look of robot with animal. They look straight up just like animals in the original like lore. But this one they made them look more cyborgish, like half animal, half robot, which makes sense if you're adapting it from live action. But I was like sitting there watching this, and I'm like, man, they've changed a lot from back in the day from when I was watching it, but it was still really fun. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rush out to the theater to see it again, but I would see it again if someone offered to.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't a terrible time in the movies. Not at all. I said, this is one of the movies that if this was the worst movie of the year, then we've had a pretty damn good year in film.
Better. It's better than most of the Michael Bay films for sure.
I need to rewatch some of the Michael Bay film because I found the Michael Bay films have more cheesiness to them, and I really did enjoy that cheesiness. I did enjoy that level of stupidity. That it was so over the top. It was kind of fun. That, but
So speaking
but
of,
again, I need to rewatch those.
yeah, I'm gonna go through them and rewatch them again. I might do a marathon here soon, so I can do the Transformers ranking I told you guys I wanted to do for you all. So I might do something like that. But talking about cheesiness is a good segue because I want to talk about the big reveal at the end, and also we can talk about what we didn't like about Bumblebee, what happened with Bumblebee. So if you guys have not seen the film, go and check out the film. Come back here. We're about to talk spoilers, but we will. We're going to just briefly go through some spoiler stuff. Not going to be nearly as long as our Spider-Verse spoiler review. That's why we didn't do that tonight. We're doing that tomorrow night instead because it's going to be much longer. So, but now I can talk about some things I want to talk about. So you've been warned. Spoilers. All right. Here we go. The thing I wanted to talk about first was the reveal. Since you mentioned the cheesiness and everything, they at the end you see this guy, he's talking to the Anthony Ramos character. He knows all this stuff about him. He was in Peru, he was in all this stuff. He's like, well, how do you know all this? And he's like, we think you'd make a wonderful asset to our team. And he's like, team? What are you talking about? And he looks out and he sees like the ship and all this stuff. He looks at his card, it says G.I. Joe, which makes sense because it's Paramount. G.I. Joe is by Paramount. And also, I think Hasbro owns G.I. Joe as far as toys go as well.
Yeah,
So,
it makes sense, but I did not see it coming.
yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It does.
It does. And so it'll be interesting to see G.I. Joe and Transformers kind of crossover like that. And they're both my childhood. I collected Transformers toys. I collected G.I. Joe toys. I was like big into that. So it'll be kind of fun to see that. But I want to throw a scenario at you. One that is impossible to happen. But man, would I have screamed so fucking loud in that theater. I would have cheered harder than I would have cheered at any Marvel post-credit scene. Because I have been wanting this for so long. Imagine if he was like, just imagine this scenario. He's like, yeah, you make a great part of our team. He's like, team. He's like, or no, and you hear a voice, and a voice says like, team. Who said anything about team? He's like, we want you as a part of our family. And it's Dominic Toretto there with like his whole gang of people, and it sets up a Fast and Furious Transformers crossover. That would have been amazing. I would have just
honestly, the Fast and Furious is so nuts. I'm like, you know what, that could have worked. Like everybody joked about him crossing over with Jurassic Park. You know, like Dominic Toretto, like riding a dinosaur, but just him with the Transformers, that would be hilarious. I think that would be probably the Fast and Furious saying, yes, we acknowledge about how fucking crazy we are, and we're gonna go all crazy.
And like, you know how they had their own Avengers Endgame moment in this movie, how he was like, Autobots, they're like, roll out, and they all like, you know, ran out in the army. It was like an Avengers Endgame kind of moment. They could have something like that in the crossover film where you see Dominic Toretto in a car, he's like, family, and then you see like Optimus Prime there, he's like, roll out, and then they all like start charging Dom in his car, and everyone else just like, and they all
that would be mind blowing.
I mean, they already went to space. I'm like, I would just love that. I get that one's Universal, one's Paramount, but if they would have like paid extra money and made a deal, like, oh my god, would I have like loved that so much.
It would be great to
The
witness.
the other one is that's a little bit more possible because if I remember correctly, this this entire thing actually is owned by Hasbro, like the toys and all that stuff as well. So it could have been a possible crossover if at one point it said you make an excellent asset to our team, and it wasn't the guy. The guy didn't say that. You just saw him come down, and someone else says it, and then all of a sudden you see David Yost walk out. Who, if y'all aren't familiar with David Yost, he plays the Blue Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And if he would have walked out, the original Blue Ranger guy from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and and be like you in or something like, and it would have set up a Transformers and Power Rangers crossover. Oh, I would have died. I would have died so hard because that would have been my childhood clashing. And I saw a guy wearing a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers shirt as Hasbro representation, and man, would I have just completely lost it in the theater if that happened, because and that's the one that would have made sense because every time they would morph they'd be like pterodactyl, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and they would make those giant robots that would start.
Yes. So it's like we don't need to make those anymore. Why? We have real robots.
and so that would have definitely been very fun. I think one of those two. Obviously, I think I would have geeked out harder at Fast and Furious because at this point, I just want to see that. But I also would have just loved to see a Power Ranger walk out, and you would have done a Power Rangers kind of crossover. That would have been fun. But yeah, G.I. Joe would still be interesting. But I will say this: first off, the movie, my theater wasn't packed. I don't know how successful it's going to be because with Across the Spider-Verse out, Flash coming out next week. I don't know how successful it is, and it would probably need some money to warrant that crossover sequel with G.I. Joe. And I see
Worldwide making a lot of money because it is a robot. So
and foreign markets will probably they'll probably help it. But I will say that G.I. Joe isn't a big selling point for audiences. If you look at the G.I. Joe films, they have not really been that financially successful. Fast and Furious, for the most part, has been financially successful, even though the new Power Rangers wasn't. If you would have brought on the older Power Rangers actors to cross over with someone, don't underestimate the Power Rangers fan base. That would have gotten butts and seats just from that alone. So so I feel that with those kind of crossovers, you would have gotten more potential for a box office thing for the next film.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I feel like they will have to ride heavy on the fact, it's Transformers, guys, because a lot of people are not really going to care about G.I. Joe. My theater was silent when the reveal happened. A lot of people do not care about G.I. Joe as much as some other people do. I'm not a hardcore G.I. Joe guy. I just collected the toys, but it was definitely still a part of my childhood. And I watched the movie and all that stuff. But yeah, it would be it'll be interesting.
I would watch it.
It would be interesting to see where it takes it. And as I am sitting on it, it makes more sense and everything. I'm kind of looking forward to it more and excited about it more. So yeah, that'll definitely be fun. And then also I wanted to talk about, now we can talk about what it was that we did not like in this movie that they did with Bumblebee. So I'll let you kind of
okay
on that.
So they basically have a robot kill him off.
Yeah,
they have a robot kill him off in his first solo movie, and I'm like, this is something you do at the end of your second movie or in your third movie, after we become
Well, he already had a first solo movie, so like with the Bumblebee movie. And this was
I mean, as a team up movie, you know,
yeah,
you don't kill Superman in the first Justice League movie.
and just to clarify for people, because I know they're all gonna be like, well, Bumblebee was in the Michael Bay films. This universe, they're like doing a new universe. They reference Bumblebee in this film. That this is not part of the Michael Bay universe. Yes, they have Optimus Prime voiced by that same actor and stuff, but this is not part of that same universe. So
Yes, yes, and Neff was even saying, even if it was, it hasn't been active long enough to say we're killing him off would be emotional. I'd say you needed to build some time. I feel like I feel like the whole Mirage fake death was more emotional and gut wrenching than Bumblebee's, because we actually got to see Mirage in this movie, you know, where Bumblebee was just another Transformer.
which is like kind of like messed up to take a big name, one of your big names that attracts people to go see your film, like Bumblebee, and make him just another Transformer. I mean, he has like a badass moment at the end where he plays the music and he dives down and he's fighting all the bad guys and all that stuff, and it's really cool. And he says like, "I came here to kick ass." I did like that. The movie quotes he'd say, like
Yeah,
right before he dies, right before he dies, he's all right before he dies, he's all like, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," and Optimus Prime even said like, "You need to stop going to that drive-in movie theater." And that was kind of funny and interesting, and I kind of enjoyed that part of it. But yeah,
you just don't do that.
I didn't really like them doing that in this movie because of what you said, and I feel like if they would have, like, I would have been fine with them killing off Bumblebee in this film if you would have done it in like the final battle or something like that, you know, and had a movie where most of the movie was with Bumblebee, and then you would have killed him off at the end of this film as he was like fighting the bad guy or something.
That would have worked better, like what they did with Mirage.
Because also in his death scene, like, bro, you're Optimus Prime. All that happened to you was you got thrown into a brick thing, and like this big brick, like whatever it is, fell on top of Optimus Prime. You see your friend about to get stabbed. He's getting choked and he's about to get shot. You're a fucking Transformer. Just lift the thing up and like run at the guy. You know, run at oh god, I'm blanking on his name. I can't believe I'm blanking on the bad guy's name, but like Scar something like that. It began with S
or something.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name, but he would yeah, I'm like, dude, just lift the thing off of you. You are heavier than that thing, and just lunge at this dude who's about to kill your friend. He just sits there, he's like, "Bumblebee, no!" and all that stuff. I'm like, bruh, like, you just let him die. I'm like, come on.
But he yelled no.
Yeah, I was like, dude, come on. And then like there was a really, I turned to my friend, I was like, okay, that was on the nose. Maybe it wasn't intentional, but he kind of made a dad joke right after Bumblebee died. Optimus Prime did, because he looked at him and he said, "This cannot be." Get it? This cannot be, like Bumblebee. I was like, wow. I'm like, I don't know if that was intentional on the filmmaker's part or not.
That's almost almost as bad as what Disney tweeted.
What did Disney tweet?
Like, it's for the movie Elemental.
Oh yeah.
And it was a picture of the girl of the fire. It was saying "Release your wildfire," and it just came out. on a week where Canada's been having all those forest fires, and some states are affected by it, that's on par with that, like making that really inappropriate joke at like the worst time.
Damn.
This cannot be.
Yeah. And then like they had some other things where like I think Optimus Prime or someone said it more than meets the eye. And we all know Transformers more than meets the eye. And so it's like, wow, okay. So they had a few on the nose things like that, but yeah, overall.
But you'd expect that from a Transformers movie.
Yeah, but that was like my biggest issue, on top of like some shoddy kind of effects and just kind of some pacing issues on the human part. But other than like those situations, I overall kind of enjoyed it. And also, I will say, I also kind of wish they would have, because they had that one like main villain that you had in this film, and then they had Unicron. I wish they would have like fleshed out, because there was like two other villains and they were just kind of there. I was like, what are the names of these people? Why are they with him? Like, they had two other villains that were like alongside this guy, and I'm like, why did we not get to know anything about them? But okay,
I get it.
Yeah, but yeah, do you have any final thoughts? Or
basically, I'd be interested to see where this goes. I'm interested to see where it goes. It's right in the middle of the movies of the year list. Like, it's not gonna be one of the worst, but yet it's definitely not one of the best. So I feel it's going to be right in the middle of at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's not going to win any Oscars. It's not going to be that kind of film.
Even if it was like my number 4 favorite movie of the year, I wouldn't say definitely no Oscars.
No, it's not going to be that kind of movie, guys. This is something you need to let your brain go. Don't, unless you're like a big Transformers fan like me. I wouldn't say like pay a lot of money. I'd say like go to like a matinee or something if you can, and then just kind of let your brain go, enjoy it, have a good time, and just watch some really good action, because like the action was really good. So enjoy some really good action on screen, and you'll have a good time. So yeah, guys, that'll do it. That is our review for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. It is now out in theaters. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? If you have seen it, let us know your thoughts down below on what you thought of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and read them. And if y'all want to see more reviews, like we will be doing finally our Across the Spider-Verse spoiler discussion. We will be doing that this weekend. So if y'all want to see
Mission Impossible 2.
And Mission Impossible 2, continuing our Mission Impossible review series. So if you guys want to like watch those reviews and many more reviews in the future, be sure you like, subscribe, share, get the word out there. Do all you can, guys, because absolutely just love doing this for you guys and love reviewing movies. So that'll do it for today, guys. We will see you all in the next video. And until next time, roll out.